The upside of failure. And today we are joined by a visionary, a pioneer, founder of Bathu Group, and award-winning entrepreneur, Theo Baloyi. But not only is he all of those things, he's a man that has made me chase after him like a love-struck teenager just to get him on my show. Theo, I cannot believe you are here.
Thank you for the invite. I'm here. I'm a man that, commits to everything that I say.
I'm like, the way I've been wanting my team and I to have this convo, and I always say that timing is everything, and
Sure.
God's timing is always perfect. And I have the utmost respect for you, and I was like, you need to come and just share all your gems
Yep.
and your pearls on the show with us. So now I don't have to stalk you anymore.
Thank you for the invite.
So, Mr. Theo, earlier on we were thinking, are we going to play a song for him? Can I tell you what 2 songs we thought of to play for you, which we're not going to play anymore?
Yeah?
Can you guess?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Guess one song.
Jeez. I would say Ungapheli Moya Pro.
No, I'll tell you. Chisamateki.
Chisamate.
and Bula Boot. You see what I did there?
Hey,
You see I did there?
I see where it all started, eh?
Where it all started.
Yes.
So if you have a Tebe Bula Boot, because that's where you were selling kicks from, and now you're the kicks man, but I want to go all the way back to the little Theo.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your story is quite out there when it just speaks to the fact that you were in corporate and
Yes.
then decided to bet on yourself. And it's almost like you had a dream, but
Yeah.
what God had in mind for you was a lot bigger. But when
Absolutely.
you were a kid, at home, your earliest memories, what for you was your idea of failure and what was your idea of success? Was it only related to a report card,
Yeah.
or what was it connected to?
Sure. A number of things, I mean, I always say that I give a lot of credit to my parents, because everything else that they've ever taught me, I still embodied till to this day, Failure for me could be anything like if your mom says you do the evening dishes and when you wake up you need to make your own bed and
Yes.
open the curtains and open the windows. If I didn't do that on a daily, that would then be a definition of failure for me.
Do you remember, and I don't know if it's happened to you, ne, where your mom or Roma or your dad,
Yeah.
like, I'll do it, and then you see them doing it. You
Exactly.
know those memories.
Exactly.
You're like, I was.
Konje.
Yes. Now your mom's there washing dishes. You know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you touched on that, because I remember hearing somebody speak who was saying, like, even the foundations of success start at home with doing basic chores, right? So while some might look at it as, why would you think not washing the dishes or opening the curtains when you were told to could be seen as failure? But I really see them as critical building blocks to just that foundation. So you doing all those things, what did that teach you?
I think a sense of responsibility, right? That you need to wake up to something. You can't just be a person who just idles, You need to be able to wake up to something. So I think that sense of responsibility, knowing that when I wake up, I need to do something, And yeah, until to this day, I think I still wake up to that purpose or sense of responsibility that I can't just wake up and do nothing. I think that's why we are all here on earth, to do something.
And what do you think your parents did differently with you
Yeah.
that maybe other parents did not do with their children? And I will also say specifically with their sons.
Good question. I was actually thinking about that the other day. That look, my dad is late, right? But he was a very strict man.
Yes.
And I think equally so with my mom. But one thing that I really appreciate is as I grew older and I demonstrated a sense of responsibility, they sort of let me be. I still remember even in when I matriculated, when I was doing matric, how both my parents had their own views, but they let me do
what
I wanted to. So I appreciated that a lot. That as I grew older, they became more supportive from a spectator point of view and entrusted my decisions. You get it? Like, I think that was something that till to this day, I still appreciate. I mean, I still talk to, my mom is still alive. I talk to her about a lot of stuff. And she, even when she does not understand or think it's the right thing to do, she still allows me to do, how to follow my heart and to do those things.
The reason I think what you said is so powerful, we have a parenting feature on the show.
Yep.
And we've had many conversations around how much decision-making power do you give your kids that are school-going. And I use the example of, okay, when it comes time to, you have to choose between netball and hockey.
Yeah.
You have to choose your 6 subjects from grade 10. And there were some parents who said, I let my child do their things, and others who said, I know my child. So I push them in this direction. Fast forward, they seem happy.
Yeah.
And I always grapple with that because I also have parents who almost fully let me do what I wanted to do. They didn't let me do everything I wanted to do. But now, being a parent myself, I'm like, oh my goodness, how do we find the balance between letting this person figure out what they want to do? Because at some point they're going to be teenagers, they're going to be headstrong, and we live in a world where they have access to information.
Yeah.
So what would you say the boundaries to letting you do your own thing were that your parents gave you that managed all of it? Because you still need to be protected, especially if you're still a minor.
Yes.
But I saw, when we're talking about kids drinking coffee, I saw people online saying, my son is 22 and he's still not allowed to drink coffee. I'm like, a 22-year-old is not allowed, like, as long as in my house.
Yeah. I think for me, like any other family, families have their own beliefs, their own philosophies. There is history, there is culture. I think those were the boundaries, that you can do anything that you want to do, but don't do anything that is against, us as a family, us as the clan.
Yes.
They're bringing, from our forefathers. This is the values. These are the principles, and this is how we do things. So that was sort of a guiding board as to how far you can go. Right?
Yeah.
Follow your heart, follow your dreams, but don't come here and tell us about or do something that we as a family don't believe in.
Yes.
I think I always followed my heart, but I always at the same time remember who I am. Who I am. Go out there in the world, chase your dreams, but don't forget who you are.
You share about your father being late.
Yeah.
In terms of that relationship, what was, some of the biggest lessons you got from him that you might have even realized only after he was gone?
I always share, and I think I've once shared this with you somewhere, but my father was entrepreneurial in nature, and he was an entrepreneur, but I think it's something that he had in him.
Yes.
So he believed in taking risk and following your dreams and starting different types of businesses. But one lesson that I still, live by till to this day is actually a money lesson. Yeah. So and he once told me that never ever have an emotional relationship with money. Rather have an intellectual relationship with money. Because when you have an emotional relationship with money, when you lose 10 rand, you're going to lament and cry over the loss. But when you have an intellectual relationship, you will always think about how do you make the next 10 rand and grow it to 20 rand, because of the loss is in your mind and not in your heart.
Ooh.
Because money will hurt you if you keep money in your heart.
Yay! We know. Money is heartbreaking.
Money will hurt you, you know? So always make sure that your relationship with money is in the mind.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Especially, and I mean, it's easy for someone to be like, yeah, you can only say that because you have money,
Sure.
right? But I think the lesson in that is so powerful because we make the biggest mistakes when we're in emotional states. Hence, often people will say, calm down. Or the biggest lesson I've gotten from my father is sleep on it.
Sure.
And sometimes sleeping on it can be a week.
Yeah.
So don't be rash with decisions in general. Even if it's like, oh, somebody sent me an SMS saying I upset them. Now I'm like, sleep on it.
Sure.
Things will look different the next day. And I'm thinking
100%.
about that 10 rand that's lost. You can always see it differently another day. When did you now take that theory and apply it in real life? I mean, have you found yourself, let's say, losing more than 1 million and having to be like, okay, it hurts, but I'm okay. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, no, many times. I mean, when in business, there's especially the nature of our business, which is retail. You know, it's very seasonal. A lot of moving dynamics. You know, and sometimes certain things are even beyond our control. It could be macroeconomics kind of challenges and so forth, right? So you lose and you lose money, you make money. But I think for me, similar to what you just said now, I use obviously the lesson, you know, when I go through, you know, the challenges. But the big thing about it is don't react, because I feel like reaction almost sort of has a way of driving you away from the main thing. When you want to instantly react to the loss, to the challenge, to try to react to the challenges of this world, you know? So don't react. And it could be even in money. Like when you see the market going the other way, and you losing value of the things that you've invested in, don't react and don't panic. And say, okay, let me maybe just make this move so that I can get the money back. There's always a lesson and timing for everything.
Does that mean you've got an ice box where your heart used to be now?
Maybe not, yeah.
And I know I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but I'm being for real because
Sure.
I think there's a certain part of business that requires shrewdness. And I'm a natural empath.
Yeah.
And I have had to learn that does not bode well in business.
Yes.
Now, it is great if I'm having conversations with guests who feel safe around me and they open up about certain things. However, when I'm at the negotiating table, that same Relebogile is not showing up. I have to remember Kasi, and I was sleeping hearing gunshots and we were dealing with rats. Then the shrewdness has to come out.
Yeah.
In that case, what is the balance for you between what we would define as the passion projects, the one where you're like, I don't care if I don't make a cent, but I have to support this thing.
Yeah.
And the part where you're like, yay, don't mess with my monies.
Yeah. You know, I think everything else, my belief, and could move, depends from one business case to the next. But my belief is when you are in purpose and you do everything on principle, right? Irrespective of what the business case might be, principles apply before profit. Values apply before profit. You know, there's a saying that I really like so much, and I live by it, that integrity, having integrity is expensive.
It is.
But not having integrity is costly. Or the other way around. I don't know how it goes. I think it says integrity is costly. Having integrity is costly, but, you know, not having integrity is expensive, along those lines, because I really believe in that you need to do what's right, from the word go, and apply principles from the word go, because then you don't have to go back and renegotiate.
So I get that completely. It's almost like there are certain choices that I have made where you have to walk away from things that look very shiny and would make you very comfortable financially, but that you could not stand by.
Absolutely.
So I get it. The part of, if you now at this fork in the road, fork number 1 says you're going to be so successful, multimillionaire, all these things. Fork number 2 says now you don't have the money, you're going to struggle, but you can hold your head up high.
Yep.
As I've gotten older though, and hear me out.
For sure.
I've realized I have a price. and I want to ask you a very difficult question.
Yes.
Because there's many things I will not do.
Yes.
But I had to say to myself the one time, what is my price?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I realized my price of crossing whatever that moral line is for me.
Yeah.
It must be enough that I can be in therapy 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
My price is R500 million liquid.
Shoo.
Minimum. That's my price.
Liquid.
Do you have a price?
Oh my goodness.
Is that price too high? Because that is the type of FU money that you can now be like sharp.
I'll be very honest with you. I don't know if I should go this direction.
Yeah, tell me.
Because I want to go deeper now.
You want to go? Tell me.
And I'm not trying to sound some type of way, but I'm generally not a guy that thinks in monetary value. If that makes sense.
That's what rich people say.
Yeah, I wish I was rich. I really wish.
Rich people say, I'm not a guy. But if there was a price, and it could be anything, where you are crossing a line. So we're not even defining what the line is, but it's something that would compromise your own morals. As in, you might not feel that comfortable looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily mean a scandal, doesn't mean anything, but something that it required a lot of money for you to say, okay. So mine, I said R500 million rand liquid.
True.
I would be able to say, cool, then
That's
I can.
a lot of money.
Yes. So that's my price.
Yeah.
What is your price that somebody that offers there, but you might be apologizing at your father's gravesite?
And I think that's where I'm challenged, right? Because
so you don't have a price?
Yeah, because of it's then the price is relative. Right? And I'm asking myself, I'm even questioning myself, is there any other business case that would make me accept the price, like over my principles and values?
Yes.
I'm asking myself that if I look at that liquid 500 million,
yes,
I'm asking myself,
and it's tax free.
Oh my goodness.
Mamposa's
So
not
good.
gonna touch
Trust
it.
me, really, it sounds so good.
But I made it
sounds so
very
good.
high because for me, and you know this,
Yeah.
the cycle of being in business, whether you're the boss or the client or the staff member, you're always answering to somebody, you're responsible to somebody.
Yeah.
So in your position, you will have your staff that you answer to, you have investors that you answer to, you have yourself to answer to.
Yeah.
So you're always answering to somebody. So the way I came up to my price is, what is the figure that I could have with me that would mean I can tell everybody where to get off. Because I don't even need them. So for me, I had to be like, what is money that could carry me 3-4 generations?
Yeah.
That's how I came to my price.
But then that's why I'm challenged, because I'm asking myself that you will carry through 4 generations, but maybe without sanity.
Therapy. That's why I said we're going to be in therapy every day. And that's why the price is high.
Okay, to answer a question I don't think I've got.
You haven't got a price?
I've never, I think, thought about it that far, honestly speaking.
During the news, you're going to think about it. And mind you, I also do realize whenever we have these hypothetical conversations,
Sure.
it's never like when it is in real life, because obviously, and I'm sure you might have been at a negotiating table, the deal is nearly done, but at that last minute, you're like, Konento, couldn't do it. Like,
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
like, and then when you walk away, maybe half a year later, you're like, oh my goodness, I should have taken
Sure.
that thing.
Yeah.
But I always sit and say to myself, I know I have very high values and morals for myself, but I'm human and I have a price. And
Got
I
you.
had to just
Got you.
accept that I have a price. So I'm gonna park that one for you. What else did Dad advise you that you carry with you still today?
Exactly that. It's principles, before profit. That in everything else that you do, always make sure that your principles and values are in check.
Yes.
In everything, could be business, social life, personal life, whatever the case might be. Just make sure that you've got your principles and values in check.
Does your mom actually understand what you've achieved? Because I feel like our parents are in the like they have an idea, but they don't actually know.
Yeah.
Like my mom went on set with me for the first time in my presenter capacity.
Yeah.
She came to set with me, and she was like, "Is this how I was?" Mind you, I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Yes.
Does your mom actually know what you do?
I think so, and she sometimes tell my relatives, or when she talks to me, that how do you actually do it? And my mom is big on rest
Yes.
and take some time off. Like I feel like sometimes maybe she feels sorry for me, that when are you resting? Like you
Because
always
she sees you on your phone.
yes, like just rest, So for the fact that she always says that I should rest, and she's a big advocate of that, like just balance and being off work. I think that goes to show that maybe she understands.
I feel like your mom is at the society saying, "Oh, Reki Saditeki." That's like, when like, what does your son, "Oh, Reki Saditeki." Like, that's all it is. Theo, when did you decide that you're done with Pretoria? Because I saw as people were making a joke like 2 years ago to say Elon Musk is proof that life starts happening when you leave Pretoria, because we
sure.
both went out to Rangkua.
And I'll forever be like Praetorian,
Yes.
call it. And yeah, that's my DNA. But unfortunately for me, that was not my decision. It was my parents' decision.
Yes.
Because my dad actually wanted to pursue his entrepreneurial, journey and dreams, and the entrepreneurial bug got to him. So he quit his job. He was a male nurse, and obviously in Pretoria we had a house that was bonded.
Yes.
So it's like, I can't do with this obligation. So let me just, sell the house and go back home where he comes from.
Yes.
Which is in the outskirts of Hammanskraal at Pake.
Yes.
And yeah, we left Pretoria to go there. And then after matric, I actually went to Alex to further my studies. I'm glad that I got to clarify that, because the people in Pretoria and the people at Park and the people at Alex say that I always say that I'm from Alex. So I clarified it today.
My dad always says, "Kai ketso ka ro tswa Joburg." Ngwana ko Tshwane. So we must always remember as proud Praetorians. So I think that what you chose to study positioned you at such an advantage of being an entrepreneur. I mean, you speak about Papa was a nurse.
Yeah.
Now going into business, which is something literally anybody can do,
Sure.
that would have maybe put him at a back foot when you did accounting. So you were about the numbers. That's why you don't have a number, as he says. I'm still going to question him on it. If you were able to do a do-over, knowing what you know now, would you have considered studying something else while still continuing this entrepreneurial journey? Because, I mean, there are many entrepreneurs who are lawyers, who are many other things. If you could, what do you think the thing you would have studied, if not accounting?
Look, I think I would always choose accounting any other day.
Because rata chelete.
I'm so grateful of that path, and it has taught me so much, right? But to answer your question, and till today, I'm still I'm so intrigued and interested in this study, because I feel like that's where it's the genesis of everything. Psychology, I feel like it's such an interesting study and topic that if you really get to understand psychology, you can be anywhere in the world
Yeah.
and meet different types of people and do all sorts of businesses because you really understand
Human behavior.
human behavior.
Yeah.
You get it. I'm even now. I read like those kind of books. I'm interested in anything that speaks to that.
It's because you want to be a step forward on the negotiating table,
Yeah.
knowing
I want to say hi and look at you and sort of figure out what kind of a person you are.
so that when he says our final offer and you look him in the eyes and you know there's more money.
Yeah.
Oh my, I actually never thought of a psychology because I think, if you think about an MBA or any of those, it will always cover the different aspects of a business. And to me, what would naturally come to mind is, okay, what's your biggest bill? That's what you should be studying as a
Sure.
business person, right? And maybe that's HC or, legal, whatever it is. But I've never considered that psychology would be something that could be advantageous in business.
Yeah. I feel like, obviously psychology is a very broad study, but
Yeah.
human behavior it's one of the most interesting things that you can ever or try to understand. And then if you've got that, be it interpersonal skills or the ability to really be relatable to different types of people and characters and understand and study them and unpack them and have different approach and just being relatable like that is a big thing, because I feel like a lot of times oftentimes people just pass on judgment and not empathy first. And I feel like it should be the other way around. Always exercise empathy before judgment. And I think that's what when you understand psychology, you'll understand that it's never about looking at something or a business case or an issue at hand and passing judgment. It should always be empathy and understanding. Then depending on the merit and what the case is, then maybe you can have an opinion, judgment at the end.
Okay, and I think it is very useful because even when I have interviews with people, I try my best to keep the canvas as blank as possible, because I think if you walk into a conversation already thinking you know this person, you're going to miss out on maybe some gems along the way, steering the conversation somewhere specific. And that's why, my poor producer, every time we invite people and they're like, what is Relebogile going to ask? She has to say, Relebogile doesn't know until she's in the conversation.
I like
because I really never know.
That's good, yeah.
Because I try to read energy, see where a person is at, and just allow the chat to happen, which is really how I enjoy having conversations, by being interested and being curious about the other person. So if tomorrow you woke up and everything you've built is gone, there's no Bathu group, there's no, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And now you have this entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
What is the first thing you would start up again to try and rebuild yourself?
Phew, what a question.
And of course, it can't be Bathu group
And
again.
it can't be Bathu group, right?
It can't be, So because now you know what it felt like having it all, you know how many years it took you to get there, you've learned the lessons. So tomorrow, it's now a blank canvas. You're starting from zero. What would you start?
I think I don't have a specific thing that I can say, but I know for sure that it would have to do with being a servant and trying to serve, could be a group of people, could be a community, could be an organization. Because I believe that in serving, there is a lot of discovery. And when you're on a journey, and as you're about to start a journey, that's where great journeys begin. So in order to be great again, I would definitely start by serving. I could go back, I don't know what kind of saving, maybe go back to corporate, maybe find an NGO that I can be a part of that teaches business, and be the guy. I'm like, hi guys, my name is Theo. I used to run Bathu Group. Things happened, but this is what I've learned from entrepreneurship, and just do it and share my lessons. I know for sure that my start point will be of service, being of service.
Wow, that is dope.
Yeah.
Why is being of service so important to you? Because we do know there's a certain element of service that is very selfish. Like, it's like you will do amazing things because it does make you feel good about yourself. But why is that so important to you?
I think, and this is just my belief, that's where purpose begins. To be of service. And I say this with utmost humility that, a few years from now on, there's a lot of things that won't really matter that have currency today. But one thing that will really matter and that we'll forever remember is, those that have been of service and how people have served us. Think about it this way. You are at the restaurant, the coffee is horrible, and the waiter or the waitress is amazing.
Yes.
You almost want to come back there because of the service and just interacting with the person and how they treat you. And you taste the coffee, but it's horrible. You almost forget the taste of the coffee.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people remember. It's service. You think about our great leaders in this country, people who have brought us up, people in different types of communities that have somewhat served. We always have a way to remember. Each and every person in their life, they've got one person or more that even when they're not here, they'll still have a memory of that person and be fond of them and respect them. Not because of what they had or what they've built, but somewhat because of the role that they played in their life. And I feel like that's where purpose begins. You need to be of service as a human being.
And I think the beauty of how you've positioned the group, Bathu Group now, where you've created opportunities for other businesses, you have expanded, you're employing so many people, allows you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Is there a philosophy that you live by where you try and, let's say if we break it down into percentages?
Sure.
What percentage of Theo Baloyi is, okay, I'm 80% about the profits and 20% about the passion? Like, if you were to give me a little pie chart and you can choose what's in there.
Yeah.
What percentage? And I know this changes every day, so tell me for today.
For today. And I think for the longest of time, for us in the business, it has always been, even if we look at the genesis of our business and how we started, it has always been, we've got a philosophy in our business that says people before profit. And I would say that it's 80% of the saving and 20% of the profit, because I believe that the profit comes from the saving.
Yes.
So I would if I had to go with percentages, I would say 80% of saving and 20% of profit.
What is the prayer that at your lowest moment in your life, whatever that looked like, it could have been from heartache or another failed attempt at starting something up. What is the prayer you said to God?
Sure, that's deep.
This is why you've been avoiding me.
That's deep. I mean, I think guidance and protection. That if something doesn't go my way, right, protect me on the journey and guide me to something that is aligned with, your purpose for my life. And guidance to always be in purpose. Because you don't want to be away from purpose.
Yes.
So that even when I'm doing things, because obviously we live in the flesh, that, things that maybe might drive me away from the purpose, guide me back to the purpose.
Which is worse? Now, we've had this conversation on my show. It must have been about a month or so ago. So I asked everybody, which is worse, working in a toxic environment that is compromising your mental health or being unemployed? And the reason I asked that question is, for many, it's that's the situation.
Yeah.
And we know what the unemployment levels look like at the moment. It's tough. Which for you would be the lesser evil, knowing yourself and what you can tolerate?
That's a really difficult question. And I'll say this again, it goes back to the psychology conversation, right? Because I've been very fortunate that I haven't experienced the two.
Yeah.
I've worked for an amazing organization. worked for great leaders. Right after graduation, I got employment, and since then I've always been employed. So I don't know what it feels like not to be employed. And because I've worked for great organizations and
Yeah.
great leaders, I don't know a toxic working environment.
Yeah.
Right. So it makes it difficult for me to pass, or to say exactly which is worse. But I would say that might make me sound like an irresponsible South African, but maybe it might be better being unemployed because there's discovery in that.
It's not irresponsible, and I'll tell you
Sure.
why. People were very divided. The ones who have been unemployed were very straight on saying the depression of having nothing to do and nowhere to go was too much. I couldn't. And then
Sure.
the ones who have been in toxic work environments
Yes.
where they're being bullied and things were like,
Yeah.
if I did not leave when I did, I might have died.
Yeah.
And I hope our country gets to a point where people don't have to make such choices.
100%.
Fortunately, at the times that you and I were entering the job market, things were a lot easier than what this current generation is going to be dealing with. Can you share, especially for the young people, young being anywhere up to your 40s,
Yes.
who are sitting trying to figure out when their next breakthrough is coming, trying to just get by? What words of wisdom can you share with them?
I would say that it all starts in the inside. Just be authentic to your core and align, with your purpose and really define that. Because I feel like in defining that and being aligned and authentic to your core will then give you a safe space to know that it will be okay. Your time is coming, or don't give up, right? Because it's there's an inner feeling that you can't really define it. Only you can feel it when you're connected to your inner core. That even when times are unfavorable, you still have this belief that it's gonna be okay. So if you can start from the inside and working in the inside, that is your guiding principle to a better future.
In one sentence, what have you learned about failure?
Failure is knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Failure is knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Exactly.
Sir, thank you for finally honoring our date. That is an interview. I will no longer stalk you. I give you your flowers. Keep doing what you're doing and making us proud.
Thank you.
702.
The upside of failure.
Proof that a setback can lead to a step forward.